Shouichi is a loser cherry boy who can never talk with a single girl until his grades get so bad that he is forced to attend a cram school. His trashy life gets stuck in the harem of 3 girls who are ready to isekai each other for a piece of him. However, before any of this, as final exams approach at Kibito Private High School, the students fill out forms about their future career choices. Shouichi, the class clown known for his non-serious behavior, dreams of becoming a horned beetle, which worries Onagata, the homeroom teacher. But despite his odd ambition, Shouichi explains that horned beetles make children smile. Instead of arguing with his mental issues, his homeroom teacher suggests that he try becoming a manga artist and feature the horned beetle as a fun protagonist for kids. But being a Gen Z disgrace, Shouichi doubts that anyone with a little common sense would buy a manga on insects. After the weird career counseling session, Shouichi returns to Class 2B, only to find the class idol and runner-up of Mrs. Santa contest Hikari and her friends occupying his seat, talking about their preferred eggplant sizes. He is forced into his worst nightmare, interacting with the opposite gender. Shouichi gathers all 8 ounces of his nut juice and asks them to leave, but his nervous demander and beta energy render him invisible to 10 out of 10 chicks. Eventually, one girl steps in to end the scene, revealing that Hikari's real motive is to take revenge for losing to Shouichi's sister at the Mrs. Santa contest. Surprisingly, the celebrated Santa contest winner is Shouichi's deadbeat older sister, who is often careless and uses foul language like Samuel L. Jackson. Despite being a university senior, she struggles with complex board games and often disrupts Shouichi's setup. Nonetheless, she is a supportive sister, helping with household chores and backing Shouichi's decisions. Inspired by his sister's support, Shouichi studies day and night to top the upcoming exam, quickly becoming popular with the ladies who want private lessons at his place. However, Hikari remains resentful of his success, itching for a chance to kill him. The situation is further complicated when Kyouko, his childhood friend from Class 1A, makes jealous comments about his newfound popularity. As his childhood friend, Ikuo suggests that Shouichi should continue his progress by enrolling in cram school over the summer, as one test doesn't make up for his lackluster high school life. Shouichi considers his idea to celebrate his recent success by visiting the arcade, slipping back into his carefree attitude. After wasting the entire day, he heads back home, but while walking, Hikari working at a new pastry with her rumored boyfriend catches his attention. Noticing their difference in personality and hustle, Shouichi decides to call Ikuo and enroll in the cram school. Although he feels anxious about being an outsider, Ikuo reassures him that many high school students are also attending summer school. On the first day, Ikuo finds Shouichi cramped in the corner after flunking in a basic pop quiz, while he excels and joins the elite class. Despite being disheartened, Shouichi musters up to vent his frustration outside the window, telling the world his plans to lead a successful high school life. All that shouting makes him gasp like someone out of a third world country, and attracts a creepy girl, who climbs up to his window, causing him to panic. As the girl enters his room, she crawls towards him similar to a zombie with thrift store cosmetics, and this makes Shouichi wish his father pulled out before filling the tunnel. However, she only wanted the towel beside him to dry her hair and face before catching a cold. Yet seeing her face still doesn't make him believe that the girl is Hikari, so she prompts him to look at her body until he's satisfied. Apparently, her parents forced her into this cram school as punishment for sneaking out to a mixer while grounded. She has been searching for bus stations across the area, only to be chased by hungry deers, which eventually forced her to climb up his open window. She keeps bad-mouthing her parents, but Shouichi still lost, wondering why herbivores would chase meat. After venting, she notices all her luggage is soaked. She grabs an extra pair of Shouichi's pajamas, sniffing on them to check for any nut juice stains. Her sudden actions entice Shouichi, making him imagine their future together. After dreaming of losing his cheery boy status and expiring his eggplant all night, Shouichi wakes up exhausted, making him yawn throughout the day. Moreover, the gloomy mood of the class adds up to his sleep deprivation, but finding Hikari's class is more important to him than resting. However, even Ikuo didn't see her in the elite class all morning, which makes them wonder if she ran away again. That said, they head to the cafeteria, only to spot Hikari and her new friend Mako, punished with counter duty for their midnight escape attempt. On top of that, the teacher with a cheap hairstylist and a long bamboo shoot told Hikari to clean the girls' bathroom. But unfortunately, her clothes from last night are still wet. Hearing this, Mako mentions there's a laundromat near the hotel, Until then, Shouichi allows Hikari to wear his clothes, secretly hoping she'll work up a sweat. Ikuo, showing some decency, urges him to wipe the lewd grin off his face. After cleaning the bathrooms, Mako helps guide Hikari on her journey to using the laundromat for the first time. And while waiting for the washer to stop, she mentions that everyone is calling Hikari a for wearing her boyfriend's clothes. At first, she thinks of clearing Mako's misconception, but on second thoughts, Hikari decides to spread false rumors about Shouichi getting by her scent, all while the poor boy cluelessly struggles to choose a drink from the vending machine. However, he's distracted by two girls gossiping about Hikari, annoyed that her relationship is disrupting their focus. Though Shouichi ensures them that he and Hikari are not dating, she borrowed his sweats since her luggage got wet in an accident. While this was happening, Hikari appeared out of the blue to return his sweats, but her Oscar-deserving thirsty girl act shows the reality of their relationship, disappointing the two girls who were starting to think that Shouichi was a decent man. Yet, once it's all said and done, Hikari takes him to a secluded area where she apologizes for making his life a living hell. However, Shouichi dismisses it and changes the topic, mentioning how his elder sister does all the household chores like laundry and cooking a midnight snack. Still bitter about losing the Mrs. Santa contest to his sister, Hikari boasts about her midnight snacks. But talk is cheap, so she invites everyone to Shouichi's room for a Spanish omelet feast unexpectedly. Everyone including Shouichi falls in love with her cooking, so much that he helps her wash the dishes afterwards. During this time, Shouichi urges her to stay at school, otherwise he'd be worried sick and wouldn't be able to focus on his studies. Caught in an unexpected moment, Hikari agrees to stay, on one condition: he must return the dishes. 1 week has passed since that incident in the kitchen, but Hikari keeps teasing him even while they are in class, which irritates all the single losers who want to focus on their studies. Eventually, they are kicked out for distracting everyone. But Shouichi still believes that Hikari will blend into the other kids soon enough, and for that purpose alone, they should avoid speaking whenever the other students are around. After a brief thought, Hikari agrees with his point of view, but her main concern is to pinpoint Shouichi's reasons for enrolling in the cram school, yet he remains silent, prompting her to leave. In contrast to their agreement, they don't talk during classes or break time, which allows him to focus on his studies. However, Hikari distracts him from studying the night before an important exam. Naturally, Shouichi urges him to focus on prep school, but Hikari states that she doesn't like to compete, even though she's bitter towards his sister for winning the Santa contest. Though, in the end, Hikari agrees to study for the exam. Her thighs and slopes are a huge distraction for him. Moreover, she starts reminiscing about going to the mixer tour and wearing a plot armor at the beach, making Shouichi feel the depravity in his pants. Noticing his condition, Hikari teases him, asking if his ding-dong wants to see her in. Shouichi thinks she's bluffing, but Hikari had packed a swimsuit for the mixer tour, allowing him a chance to see her navel and curves. As they share stories in the warm water, Hikari overhears someone entering the bath, who turns out to be the professor known for punishing her and Mako. Naturally, he scolds Shouichi for using the bath after hours, but instead of following the rules, Shouichi offers to rub his back in exchange for relieving himself down there. The professor, scared to lose his innocence, runs away before Shouichi can get his hands on him, allowing him to take a sigh of relief. Shortly after, Hikari gets out of the bath, only to faint from the heat, but after waking up, Shouichi walks her back to the room. To repay his kindness, she invites him inside. However, the room is filled with her wet laundry, prompting him to leave, but despite being embarrassed, Hikari thinks they should take a breath of fresh air. However, instead of taking this opportunity to steal a kiss, Shouichi clears out the rumors about her older boyfriend at the cafe, which quickly turns into an awkward conversation, as Hikari suspects him of informing the school about her job, but Shouichi assures her that he's not involved. All in all, Hikari clarifies his misconception, revealing that the man is married and has kids. Their conversation seamlessly comes to an end. But from that night onward to the last day of school, Hikari keeps ignoring him and leaves the cram school without saying goodbye, all while Shouichi curses himself for overstepping his bounds. With that, the boys return home and start their second semesters, but Shouichi's friendship with Hikari remains unchanged. One of the girls reveals that she asked Araki out on a date during summer vacations, causing Hikari to feel jealous and wish for a cuddly boyfriend of her own. Hearing this, Shouichi's single brain cell begins imagining Hikari as a cosplay girlfriend. However, after getting wet, he walks to his seat only to find a note left by Hikari, stating she needs to return his sweatpants after class. Aside from that, he wants to know why Hikari has been ignoring him ever since that night at the cram school, though her reasons have nothing to do with that night, and are more related to her friends. Unfortunately, their conversation is interrupted by Makoto, a timid disciplinary committee member who suspects they were wrestling in the backyard, since recently such cases have been on the rise, especially during summer breaks. For example, one well-behaved girl who informed them about another student working at a Spanish bar was caught red-handed. Speaking of which, Hikari realizes that this girl ratted her out to the disciplinary committee, and so she pressures Makoto into revealing her name, only to discover she's her childhood friend Yuki. Without wasting a second, she rushes to the pump shed and finds Yuki on top of it with a carrot in her mouth, leaving them confused. But instead of explaining the situation, Araki runs away, leaving Yuki to face Hikari all by herself, and before long, the truth about her ratting Hikari to ensure she doesn't date Araki comes out. However, Hikari isn't offended in the slightest, as she knows that a girl in love can go to any extent. In the end, both of them look past this incident and refuse to bring it ever again. Once all doubts are cleared, Hikari treats him to a meal as an apology for doubting and ignoring him at the cram school. But since now everything is in the past, Shouichi forgets all grudges and invites her to the beach. As Hikari enjoys the serene view of the vast ocean, Shouichi asks her to play catch with the ball he stole from the cram school. But the wind changes and catches them off guard, throwing the ball into the ocean. Upon trying to reach for the ball, he stumbles down and gets soaked due to the strong waves. This forces Hikari to lend a hand, yet the waves strike again, washing them to ashore fully soaked. Unexpectedly, the air around them gets tensed as she climbs up on him and starts to get frisky. Before he can blink, Hikari uses her fingers to block his ears and starts kissing. After that, they spend the entire day until Shouichi finally grows a pair of nuts and decides to confess his love. However, before he can say anything, Hikari shares her plan to work at a restaurant for real-time experience. Unfortunately, the place her owner referred to is out of the city, hence, she thinks they should stay friends until graduation. In the end, Shouichi wipes his teary eyes and accepts her decision, knowing that Hikari is someone who prioritizes her career over relationships. Still, Shouichi forgets about her within the next few days and resumes playing Love Deer with Kyouko and Araki. In one of these sessions, Kyouko suggests they should play at home, otherwise the girls will consider them nerds. However, Shouichi believes that raising virtual deers isn't nerdy at all. But just then, an upperclassman and honor student Tooru invades their privacy and suspects they are filling joints in the corner. But Kyouko, being the only decent boy, ensures her that their stuff is environment friendly. Aside from that, they are just trying to grow their deer in a safe environment, yet none of them expected that Tooru also loved this game. Her deer is larger than theirs even though they started playing on the release date. Still, she agreed to trade an item with Shouichi, but before she logs in, his older sister Tomo, who happens to friends with Tooru, takes her away to the fashion club. After that encounter, Shouichi wants Tooru to join their gaming group to pick her brains and improve their deer. But, weirdly enough, she shows up at their secret spot uninvited to continue where they left off yesterday. However, the boys quickly take her to the nearest karaoke bar, ensuring that other students don't spread rumors about Tooru doing something inappropriate. Unexpectedly, she picks up the mic instead of the Game Boy and starts singing nerdy anime songs, leaving the boys speechless. When she finishes, they resume playing games, though Shouichi can't help but look at her exposed cleavage, while the others are focused on the game. From that day onward, the group started playing games, even some new releases. Their gaming sessions mostly take place under the staircase, but Tooru's friends think that her reputation will take a hit. Despite this, Tooru is just happy that she can play with new friends. That said, she continues playing with them under the staircase until one day, Araki invites them to the arcade after their 6th period. He desperately tries to win the claw machine but fails to beat the system, while Shouichi notices Tooru staring at a retro game from her middle school days. Although they were supposed to win prizes, Shouichi suggests they should play the old game to jog their memories. As they sit down for a co-opus match, a couple of young grade schoolers challenge them to a match. One of the kids teases Shouichi, saying his girlfriend sucks, but Tooru eventually kills them both without Shuichi's help. Despite their flawless victory, he acts humble and acts like the kids were going easy against a girl, all just to cheer them up. Not only that, he scolds Tooru for crushing their morals, but she reminds him that retro players are ruthless. Nevertheless, her final headshot kills her memories of how fun this game can be with friends, and so she asks Shouichi to become her gaming partner. From the day she first asked him to be her gaming partner to the current day, Shouichi plays with her at the arcade almost every day. But they also play games at school, and once she leaves, Shouichi reveals that he's going bankrupt, as playtime in multiplayer co-opus is shorter. However, neither Araki nor Ikuo comes forward to help him through this situation, as he should introduce her to a new game. Yet, his efforts to make her play a bus driving simulator fail miserably, as Tooru gets bored and leaves to play her retro game. This also forces Shouichi to pause his gameplay to be her partner. Still, now with her skills, she can defeat 2 opponents single-handedly, even when equipped with an unfamiliar character. Her play style attracts everyone in the arcade. However, she's forced to leave early for cram school, but before heading out, they run into Makoto from the disciplinary committee, and her friend who advised Shouichi to join the prep school with Tooru. On the surface, he acts like a prep school is beneath his stature, but the same night, Shouichi follows her to prep school to get an idea of what it's like, and much to his surprise, he finds Ikuo and Tooru walking inside together, which makes him jealous. To clarify things, he returns to his sister for information regarding Ikuo. Shouichi believes that Ikuo is considered a nerd for playing games with them. However, Tomo reveals that the girls find him attractive, he is handsome, and gets good grades that make him a desirable amongst young and older girls. After that night, Shouichi stops thinking about Yu and focuses on finding a new game for Tooru to play. Suddenly, Takeishi, the kid who got destroyed a few days ago, brings Hikari for a rematch, but their relationship is a mystery. Still, they are eager to play each other. Her confidence says she's not inferior to Tooru. But in the end, Hikari falls short and loses to her sneaky strategy, leaving them depressed. In parallel, Ikuo and Araki warn them about the disciplinary committee near the arcade and buy them time to escape into the back streets. There, Hikari reveals that she is babysitting Takeishi to earn extra cash. Aside from that, he was going to raise her salary if she got revenge against Tooru, but that plan is trashed now. Still, before leaving, she asks him to keep her job a secret and suggests he stay away from Tooru. Deep down, he wants to know the reason behind Hikari's statement, yet chooses to ignore her for the time being and treat Tooru to a dessert. While they are eating, she reveals that Hikari was her junior in middle school, and the two of them hung out at arcades, though the reason behind their breakup is still a mystery. Nonetheless, he returns to school, only to discover that Ikuo and Araki have to clean the pump shed, and are banned from the arcade till the final exams since they took the fall for Shouichi and Tooru. Still, they are happy to take the bullet for a friend any day of the week. However, having Tooru in their group has hurt their gamer pride. Speaking of which, Shouichi mentions seeing Ikuo with Tooru at the prep school, yet he reveals that his childhood crush goes to the same prep school, and her meeting with Tooru was a coincidence, hence the misunderstanding between them is cleared. Although their misunderstanding is cleared almost instantly, Shouichi wants to know about the mysterious relationship between Hikari and Tooru back in middle school. Therefore, after class ends, they talk near the stairways with no one around. Even so, Hikari feels that he should not pry into Toru's past. However, Shouichi convinces her to reveal the truth, after revealing he bought a chair for her as a gift. Unexpectedly, Hikari and Tooru were part of a quiet gamer group back in middle school, which attracted many boys to them. But each time a boy would approach their group, Tooru destroyed their egos by crushing them in a game, which drove them away. Over time, boys started avoiding other girls in their group, forcing everyone to isolate themselves from Tooru. Still, Shouichi feels inferior to everyone else. His ego did not take a hit, and hence, he promises to stay by her side without thinking of the consequences. Once their discussion ends, Shouichi gets a call from Tooru, asking if they will play games at the arcade. Yet, he informs her that Araki and Ikuo were banned from playing games, and they could be next. So, she invites Shouichi to her house, where he meets her older brother Sato, who worries about her playing games all night and skipping school. Yet, Tooru interrupts their conversation, and takes him to her room to play games, but more importantly, she is also worried about Sato teaching at a cram school, and being overrun by modern high schoolers. Moreover, she's in her third year of high school but doesn't have a clue about her future. She thinks of becoming a teacher. However, Shouichi believes that she can become a master mascot creator, especially since Araki and Takeishi love her items. Although Shouichi loves her company, Tooru believes that she stole him away from Araki, Ikuo, and the others, and immediately, she tells him to play solo despite Shouichi wanting to practice their teamwork skills. As she goes to the bathroom, he urges that playing with friends is more fun. But Tooru feels guilty for taking all of his time, so she invites Hikari to the arcade, though her job and studies take precedence over games. Aside from that, Hikari thinks she should spend more time with Shouichi, making Tooru realize that he's been putting in a lot of effort for her sake. Eventually, they visit a secret arcade spot filled with retro games from the 90s, but she is unfamiliar with anything. However, that doesn't stop her from learning and crushing Shouichi after a few games, but playing with old machines hurts her hand, forcing them to leave. After Shouichi treats her hand injury, she realizes that her habit of playing every day drains his pockets. On top of that, she decides to take a break from games and focus on her social life. From that day, she stops coming to their gaming sessions near the staircase, which makes Shouichi anxious. He thinks that Tooru won't play with him again. However, she unexpectedly arrives on the scene and asks him out to the upcoming Comic-Con to help their friend Shiori set up a fashion stall. Naturally, Tooru was pretty nervous when asking Shouichi for help. However, her anxiety got worse and her expression went blank when wearing the cosplay outfit prepared by Shiori. Her original job was to attract attention, but now most customers are scared to approach their stall. Still, Shouichi acts like nothing is wrong and helps Tooru set up her deer mascot house, eventually attracting two young girls. Yet instead of selling the deer mascots, Tooru and Shouichi manage to scare them off. This experience traumatizes her so much that she runs away into the crowd, forcing Shiori to handle the stall by herself, while Shouichi goes to find her. Still, even after scouting the entire fashion area, he realizes that she is somewhere in the other sections. And unexpectedly, Tooru gets stuck in the cosplay with multiple losers trying to save her picture for later, all of which makes her more anxious. But before they can blink, Shouichi tries to break through the crowd and help her escape. Yet, the fat girls who never saw a girl outside Comic-Con push him back. Luckily, Tomo appears on the scene out of the blue and catches everyone's attention with her gamer cosplay, allowing Shouichi to escape with Tooru safely. Once they are in the safe zone, Tooru reveals she got lost while searching for the toilet, but she can't find the zipper in her dress. However, being the boy who has to help every girl in need vows to find it for her, and after closely observing each part of the costume, he finds it in the least expected place. Still, hats off to Shiori for thinking outside the box. Although her initial experience in the event was horrifying, Tooru regains a little confidence with Shouichi on her side, enjoying every part of Comic-Con from photography to selling mascots. With that, they end Comic-Con on a good note, but Shiori and Tomo insist on celebrating their success at a new cafe. However, Shouichi doesn't expect that Hikari would be working there in disguise, and even though he keeps his lips sealed, Tooru, blessed with ignorance, reveals Hikari's true identity. Eventually, she gives context to her relationship with Tooru and Shouichi. On top of that, their meal tonight is at the house, which is a bribe to conceal her identity from the disciplinary committee. But shortly after, they forget Hikari working there and begin talking about their respective career paths. Shouichi thinks that Tooru should become a professional mascot craftsman, yet she wants to focus on enrolling in a prestigious college, while Tomo doesn't have a clue about her future. As everyone leaves the cafe, Tooru realizes that Shouichi hasn't complimented her cosplay the entire day. Hence, she gets angry and leaves. However, he runs after her. Knowing how Tooru has a habit of complicating things, he tries to apologize, but she refuses to listen until they find themselves inside a park where young passionate couples kiss each other. At that moment, Shouichi asks her out on a date and confesses his love. However, Tooru feels that she's not the best match for him, leaving him devastated. Although she doesn't feel comfortable, Tooru reveals her true feelings by kissing him on the neck, and soon it advances to the lips. With that, they become high school sweethearts, as the young couple eventually gets married 10 years into the future and have 3 children. Still, back in their school days, Shouichi and Tooru hide their relationship from the world to focus on their studies. But unfortunately, Hikari and her friends have other plans for their high school life. While they talk about irrelevant things, Hikari notices Kyouko speaking inside their class, so she invites Kyouko into the class. Although she is a high school student, her build makes people wonder if she is still in middle school. And to top it all off, Kyouko still loves reading magical girls manga with her childhood friend Shouichi. Yet, he hides the new manga from Hikari and her friends, otherwise they will bully him till the end of high school. Moreover, he claims that Kyouko has a childish personality, but after realizing it is out of line, Shouichi begs for forgiveness on the rooftop. Luckily, Kyouko doesn't mind him pointing out the obvious. However, their conversation is suddenly interrupted by Tomo and the captain of the Trek team. Shouichi believes that he was asking his sister out on a date, but her demeanor says that she rejected his dirty bum. Still, Captain Trek warns them not to leak this information or else they will suffer. From that day onward, Shouichi and Kyouko hang out more often, but she refuses to reveal anything special going in her life, and so he turns to Tomo, the girl who knows everyone in their school, only to discover that Captain Trek wants to date Kyouko and was asking for advice on the rooftop. Meanwhile, Kyouko recalls Shuichi's statement about her childish behavior, which in fact made her feel sad. So, she vows to change herself and starts with donating her manga collection at the park. But the manga based on excess fan service isn't suited for kids, which attracts a few upperclassmen now and Uno. One of them is a lame magician who looks like she has low blood pressure, while the chick with the glasses seems to be a mother. However, she reveals they are members of the home ec club, and they specialize in polishing their feminine side. In the end, Uno invites Kyouko to their club at night, and if she is scared then Shouichi can come along. Naturally, Kyouko is petrified to visit the club alone. Hence, she forces him to tag alone, but the girls force him to stay outside, while they force Kyouko to get commando for their ritual. Luckily, they are not fans of BL manga, and only want her to wear a yukata for the moon watching party, where Shouichi experiences Kyoko's underlying beauty enhanced by the moonlight. Despite this, he wants to know how the home ec club can afford expenses for dresses like yukata, causing them to fall into an argument. But soon, Shiori arrives on the scene and reveals that they use old fabric to make clothes to sell them for a profit. In fact, they were the ones who designed Tomo's Mrs. Santa outfit and a poster for the Trek Club. Overall, their club earns a huge profit from selling these things, allowing them to afford yukata and fancy dinners. Once it's all said and done, Kyouko joins the home ec club to start a new chapter in her life. Overall, 3 months have passed since Kyouko joined the home ec club. She gets handy with cooking and other household chores, while Shouichi puts his free time into studying, especially after being distracted by 3 girls. Yet, the teacher announces that Hikari and the others will set the upcoming Founders Festival, but she is scared to handle deer meat after the incident at the cram school. However, the 2 nerds volunteer to cook anything from skewers to barbecue, putting everyone to ease. As the teacher leaves for recess, Hikari talks about her date on Christmas Eve, which makes Shouichi wonder who had the guts to ask her on a date. But before this thought can finish, Hikyo appears out of the blue and reveals he has plans with his childhood crush on Christmas Eve. Despite feeling a bit sad, Shouichi shows his support and wishes his friend the best of luck. Meanwhile, the disciplinary committee forces the home ec club to comply and create decorations for the Founders Festival. However, they are busy knitting cosplay costumes to showcase their work at the festival. But the stubborn disciplinary committee doesn't take no for an answer. She threatens to file a report of complaints to the disciplinary committee president Shiori. Still, they can avoid this fate if they comply with her request, leaving them no choice but to work overtime. Although everyone at their school is busy preparing for the festival, Shouichi visits Kyoko's room to ask her on a date. However, he is shocked to see her in a revealing costume made by Shiori. But as it turns out, she will be modeling for her at the upcoming Comic-Con. That aside, she serves him a slice of cake and a hot cup of tea, indicating that the home ec club has a positive influence on her. Ultimately, Shouichi tries to ask her on a Christmas date, yet his resolve shakes at the last moment. Simply put, he is scared that his plans for their date will be childish, so he asks the veteran Hikari for advice. But the best they can come with together is adult Christmas, from which high school students should stay away. For the moment, he drops the idea and checks on the home ec club, only to find they are out of materials for the festival's decoration. On top of that, the disciplinary committee didn't allow them extra budget for this project, which forced everyone to head outside and find scraps at thrift stores. However, Shouichi realizes that his old clothes are catching dust in the storage room. Therefore, he donates them to the club. On their way back, he musters up the courage to ask Kyouko on a Christmas date, but even though she wants to say yes, his sudden change in behavior takes her aback. Without realizing, she tells Shouichi that he is like a girl best friend to her, unbeknownst to them. Uno and Nao overheard this conversation and later tease Kyouko for rejecting Shouichi and being embarrassed about it. But eventually, these seniors show empathy, sharing their personal opinions to ease the situation. Yet none of their advice fit the boxes. In the end, they take her to Hikari, the love guru of their school. Unfortunately, her vile description of Christmas and how boys become beasts ruin Kyoko's mood, as she realizes that Shouichi might be depressed after his rejection. These thoughts trouble her so much that she forgets to look at the red light before crossing the road. Thankfully, Shouichi gets there on time and saves her from being isekai'd by Truck-kun. Just to be safe, he insists on walking her back home, but things turn awkward when Kyouko asks if he has asked someone on a Christmas date beside her, only to discover that he went to karaoke with Araki. And to cheer Shouichi, he made a fool of himself by asking Hikari and her friends out on a date. Seeing that he's not depressed like everyone thought, Kyouko initiates her plan and invites her to shop at the girls' store, as Uno now taught her that a flash can cheer any man. However, instead of getting cheered, Shouichi feels embarrassed at the store, but Kyouko makes him feel comfortable, reminding he's just like the girl next door. With this in mind, he goes all out and watches her try out the plot armor. Still, he runs away before Kyouko stands in line at the checkout. After ensuring that Shouichi is not depressed, she calmly returns to work at the home ec club, preparing for the Founder Festival. And after many sleepless nights, they eventually deliver the decorations on time. Once it's finished, Shouichi asks if Kyouko is going to free for tomorrow. However, she excuses herself, reminding him that she'll be busy for the entire week. Nevertheless, she gifts him a hand-knitted plot armor as an apology for making him shop at the girl's store. In the end, all he's left with is a man's boxer shorts and lots of regrets. But while returning home, he finds Ikkyou doing cosplay with Shiori and Tooru. Unexpectedly, his childhood crush rejected his invitation. Just the thought of it makes him cry. Though, Shouichi realizes he needs to act more manly and remove his girl next door status. He returns home, recalling how Kyouko spent the entire night knitting his boxers, but these thoughts confuse him. Even so, he clears his head with some fresh air and a jog till dawn. In the meantime, Kyouko gets ready for school and informs her mom that she'll be staying late for club activities at the Founders Festival. As the day goes by, everyone starts preparing their stall, but Hikari leaves in the middle of setting up to register for the Mrs. Santa contest. Unfortunately, her stall is left with on one to skewer and cook the meat. But for some reason, Shouichi appears out of nowhere and spends the entire day helping her skewer all the meat. Once his job is finished, he runs to Kyoko's cake stall to clarify things between them. However, she keeps on making excuses after excuse to avoid talking, yet this time around, he is hell-bent on talking even if he has to wait the entire night, and so, she finally agrees to talk with him on the rooftop after a small meeting in the home EC club. On the other side of the festival, the host announces that Tooru is the winner of this year's contest, trashing Hikari's dream once again. Yet, the home EC club doesn't care about the results, as they realize Shiori used them to decorate the festival, and earned a recommendation to a prestigious college. Still, this doesn't change the fact that the home club was a success for Kyouko, as she got praised by Shouichi for acting maturely. Although her plans were to make him realize she's all grown up, Kyouko now thinks that this isn't enough. However, Uno and now scold her for playing hard to get. After giving her an earful, they give her a box of Odin and claim she should talk with Shouichi on the rooftop. Eventually, she listens to their advice, but her attitude remains condescending, until Shouichi flat out states that he wants her to look at him as a man. Though Kyouko always looked at him as a man, despite this, she asks if that's all he wants to say. But with his determination, he asks her to be his girlfriend. Yet strangely, she doesn't answer him clearly and instead tells him to sit down on the bench. Surprisingly, she sits on his lap, which gets him flustered, but soon after getting comfortable, Shouichi and Kyouko hug each other and confess their love. That's it for today, my fellow men of culture. Like and subscribe to the channel for more plot-filled recap.